Bro, I fucking love Rick and Morty so much. Like I don't think I've watched the last two seasons. Let me see where they're at. They're at season 8. Yeah, I haven't watched season 8. I've watched up to season 7, but dude, I started watching like season 2. Dude, I have rewatched like since college. I have rewatched probably up until like I would rewatch up till, let's see. Bro, it's like shit in my house right now. I don't know why. Um all the way through all the way probably through season 6 till the end. I've watched like probably 30 times, bro. Like right now, I just like I'm gonna watch. It's just my comfort show, bro. There's two. I have two comfort shows: Rick and Morty and Peaky Blinders, bro. Those are my fucking comfort shows. I'm at like, dude. There's just something about it, dude. There's just something about it. I feel like I just finished watching the Whirly Dirly Conspiracy. Like I'm at season 3, episode 5, and I started like last week rewatching again. And like I know the lines, like bro, and the shit still cracks me the fuck up, bro. Like I just in the Whirly Dirly when after they crash on the Whirly Dirly and Rick's like pissed off at Jerry and they're kind of having that fight a little bit, and then he takes Jerry out of the slime to attract this one animal that's almost like a kangaroo but like with two eyes, bro. And then he's like Rick rides that animal, whatever that creature, and then he puts Jerry in the pouch, and Jerry, and I'm like, I already knew it was gonna happen. Like Julian, look, it's just the fucking Jerry's just like in the pouch, getting hit with the balls repeatedly. It's just like there's some stupid shit that, and like always when Morty stutters, it's so fucking funny to me. Like in the episode when Rick turns into a teenager, and he's like, Rick, he's like, and then he was like, you know Summer's like, hey, will you stay? They want to. I'm gonna have a party or whatever, and but they want you to be there. They want Tiny Rick to be there, and he's like, oh, I guess I'll stay. And then Morty's like, we really, you're like, dude, shit like that cracks me up. Or when Morty and Summer have like the new cool kid over to the house. And then Morty just like stutters for like so long. I don't know. That shit just cracks me the fuck up. I don't know. And also, it's like a show, and they make fun of the viewers for thinking it's deep and shit like that. Like that's what they do. And like, but there's just, Rick's a pretty profound character, and just the way they, like the canon of it is like, I think the canon is really good. But the whole point of the show is that there's like no really filler. Like, is that it's just about adventures, It's about just go taking a journey, right? Go taking an adventure. And so there's infinite potential in the show. That's why I love the shows, because it's like, with Peaky Blinders, like in any other show in live action, whatever it is, like you don't really have this infinite potential to do whatever. Like even in something like, let me think of another animated show, like Smiling Friends, or what's another animated show? Like Family Guy. It's very like grounded for the most part. Like you can't do anything. But the whole foundation of Rick and Morty is that he can do anything. And so you're in a situation like where, and I'm just thinking about it from a writer perspective or from an animation perspective. Like they literally can do anything and make it entertaining, just because Rick and Morty are entertaining characters, right? And the whole family is very entertaining. But they literally, it's like, I feel like it's like a writer's or like a creative's like wet dream is to work on Rick and Morty. I understand that people have a little bit issue as the later seasons when Justin Roiland got like kicked off and all that stuff. But I still it takes me like a couple episodes to get used to the voice again, but I still really love those episodes. Like I think, you know but there's just something like, there's something about too, like, because a lot of this American adult animation has this very simplistic look to it, right? And a lot of times when you're learning as an artist to draw, or you're learning how to do these things, it's like you want to draw these very complex images. You want to have like, JJK style animation, or yeah, or very or real very realistic animation. But just the way like these artists are still really good in the way that they're good because even with a simple what's the word a simple wireframe and a very simple like lighting, very simple like gesture, not gesture, but just a structure to the character. Like what a, Morty is literally just a circular face with circular eyes with a fro essentially like that, like in a yellow shirt, like a very simple looking character. You don't really see the definition of his biceps. You don't see the definition of his jawline, or and same thing with Rick. Like you, that's not what it is. But to be able to like express so much with these characters while still having such a simple look, I find it just to be like really fucking impressive. I mean, there's a bunch of like shows like this, like like Over the Garden Wall, same thing, dude. Over the Garden Wall was such a beautiful. It's only one season. It was, dude. I implore anyone to go watch Over the Garden Wall. It's incredible. I found that to be a very deep show. But like you have stuff like that and Adventure Time and these things where I feel like Adventure Time and Rick and Morty. I never really got into Adventure Time, but I feel like that and even regular show has this similar premise, this foundation that it's like so ungrounded, but not in a way where it's like people, you know, like I feel like with the MCU that became an issue where it became so ungrounded with the whole multiversal thing where it feels like there's no stakes, right? Because there once was stakes, you know what I'm saying? Like there used to be stakes and now there's not stakes. Like stakes were taken away. But I feel like in something like Rick and Morty, like there were never really stakes to begin with because at the end of the day they're just going on an adventure and this adventure is happening infinitely everywhere in different variations, and this is just Rick and Morty C137, right? Or Rick C137, Morty whatever, Morty Prime, right? And so you're not, at the end of the day, I mean, he has Operation Phoenix too. Like we have a whole episode talking about Operation Phoenix where it's like it doesn't really matter if Rick dies because he has Operation Phoenix and every other Rick has Operation Phoenix, right? So that doesn't, the deaths don't really matter, and they and you like they show that there's not really stakes, and they remove that pressure on the show for there to be stakes um, by like one of the in the first season when when they turned everyone into like those creatures, the whole world they destroy, and Rick keeps like trying to come up with concoctions to cure the world, and he makes it worse and worse, and then they have to go find another world where they died, or another universe where Rick and Morty have died, but they saved the world, and so that's where they're in like the whole within season one. You see them, they already change universes, right? But I don't. Maybe I shouldn't say that Rick and Morty has no stakes. It's just that the stakes are so insanely high, like because then you get to these later episodes where the canon starts to build up, and you're like, Rick Prime killed Diane in every conceivable and every single universe. It's like that's so fucking dark. Like that's so dark, dude. And I don't know. Like there's a lot of dark. I mean, dude, like, I was showing Julian, like, dude, in episode in season two when he's when he reunites with Unity, and at the end of the episode he tries to kill himself. Like, and there's stakes to like so we're playing on this thin line where you either fall in, I know I'm kind of going back on what I'm saying, but I'm just exploring my thoughts as they come. But you're playing this thin line where on one hand you as the watcher can kind of get consumed by Rick's worldview where it's like nothing matters, you know, like there's infinite things happening at infinite times, like, you know, when Jerry and Beth got back together, and Rick's like, you guys don't understand, none of this matters, this doesn't matter, this is happening in all these universes, right? So you can view this show in that way, or you can view the show and maybe which character is the best way to describe this, where actually it's hard because you also it's in both ways, you're thinking about it through Rick's perspective. Because in the other, I mean, in the way, okay, so Morty is clearly still receiving such emotional turmoil from the adventures that they go on. I mean, you see this throughout the show, especially that episode where they're like, um, or they have to go take like a vacation. They go take like a nice vacation or whatever it is. Or they have a nice like go to the massage place or whatever it is, and they turn into the evil self and the good like they strip themselves of the evilness. But it's that episode came to be because Morty was like freaking out. Like, dude, you're trying to kill us, and you see in a real way the way in which Morty is completely like being completely stripped of his childhood, and that he's not allowed to be at school because Rick's like, well, there's no point of being at school, right? And so you see that like so in one way in one view none of this matters because at the end of the day this is happening infinitely at all times. So you can go one way, nothing matters because everything's happening infinitely, or everything matters because it's still happening to people even if it's happening infinitely. Like if each Morty, let's just say all the Mortys die at once, like that's still infinite, that's infinite pain for them. Like I'm trying to best way to conceive this where I think the easy thing to do when you watch that show is to buy into the cynicism and buy into the nothing matters, right? But that you must understand is just a cope. Why am I looking like? Hold on. That is like just a coping mechanism that Rick uses to like cope with the fact that everything does matter and that he does. It's like to cope with the fact that he's trying to like avoid the pain he's feeling. I mean, clearly you see him drinking all the time, right? But that drinking is also just part of the thing that nothing matters, right? Because it's like, in truth, for him, the thing that mattered the most is his wife dying. I mean, he can't get over that. And even in the episode where he finally, sorry, spoiler, where he finally kills Rick Prime, and Evil Morty's like, doesn't feel good, does it? Like nothing changes. Like you got what you your whole life you've been searching for this guy and you kill him, and it amounted just it was nothing. It didn't mean anything because at the end of the day, like I don't know, Rick is such like a complex, like depressed character. Like he and the biggest way he copes is by this whole like nothing matters and like and you even saw it in the episode season 3 episode 1 when uh when he's in the brainalyzer and you see the first flashback ever to Diane dying, and he tells like he tells the guy, one of the feds, he's like, yeah, this is that one line of code separates me from a man, separates is the one thing that is like changes me from a man to an unfeeling ghost. Or that's a real feeling that he's having. That's not, it doesn't matter if there's infinite universes. Him right now in this universe, him in his body and his mind and in his spirit feels like a undying ghost. And throughout the show you just see it, and he has growth later in later in the seasons when he starts going to therapy, when he even with when he starts going to therapy, and he has that episode with when Unity comes back and that whole conversation, right? And I think, and even in his relationship, him treating Morty more like a partner rather than just like this like subservient kind of like like rather than how Beth treats Jerry for the most part, he's trying to move on to that. He's trying to treat Morty like the same, but those things are actually happening, and you can cope with a way that we can just change universes and this is happening indefinitely. But I mean, you even saw that, when I think this also in season 3 when Summer and Morty episode season 3 episode 1 when Morty and Summer go back to the timeline where Morty actually came from, Morty Prime's Morty Prime's timeline and Rick Prime's timeline, where Rick C-137 has now, housed himself in, where they destroyed the world, and they go back and they look at it and they see that the wreckage that they caused, and Morty's like talking to his family as if they're like subhuman, because that's how he's coping with it. You could see in the way that Rick treats the like his failed projects, or Rick treats like past adventures as that's all they are doing, past adventures. But those things have real effects on real people. I mean, we can say that infinite, it doesn't matter because it's infinity, but in this very specific timeline, you have Summer, Beth, and Jerry surviving off of eating like the meat of these like fucked up humans, right? Their whole world is gone and they're stuck here living like this day to day. And then later on, in a couple seasons later, when they reset the portal fluid portal travelers, and everyone gets sent back to their timelines, and Morty gets sent back to uh, Rick Prime's world, Morty Prime's world, and the destruction, and they find, and you see Jerry, and Jerry's like the pain. It's like Morty's like, you should be happy, like you became this, you're great now, Dad, like you're a beast. And he's like, oh well, thanks. Like Summer died, like because they got frozen, bro. Summer died, Beth died. He's alone now. He's just a lone wolf, and it's like that's something that's really affecting people, bro. And I don't know, that's how I really feel about this show, and that's why I find it to be so beautiful. Is because like there's just a lot of psychology going on. Even if the writers want to jack off and they want to like almost make fun of the viewers for thinking that the show is deep, I feel like in a way they're minimizing their own writing, or yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. It's like they're minimizing the depth of the creators of the characters that they've created, And I don't even know. I've spent 16 minutes talking about Rick and Morty, but I fucking love this show. I fucking love this show so much. But once I go back to the main point, is like I feel like in this show, filler or whatever it is, you can same as a regular show or adventure, you just can come up with anything, and anything kind of works as long as there's and a lot, they have those episodes where they get kind of meta, like with the train episode, like where they're I forgot what's the word for that train, where they're getting kind of meta and they're talking, how to build a story, or that episode with the writer, when the dude that wrote story, what's his name, Rick and Morty character, story lord, yeah, story lord, the guy that then you see like the episode where the guy that wrote story lord, right? You have these meta episodes, but I feel like as long as there's not necessarily stakes, but they can follow the classic, plot formula. Yeah, the 3-arc structure, bro. The classic 3-arc structure. Or the plot pyramid. Just exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and conclusion, right? Like that they can follow that with whatever it is, and it works though. But you can but because of the nature of him being able to travel anywhere and do anything and go to any universe, you get this really ungrounded story that's beautiful. And at the same time, even though they like to pretend like there's no stakes, there is stakes. There's always stakes. And the stakes, to me, in this show are far more spiritual than they are physical, right? Like, I did talk about some physical things, but the stakes are more existential, And I don't know. I just love this. I could talk forever about this fucking show, bro. And I probably will talk about it as I continue on for the 100th time watching this fucking show. But anyways, I'm out of here. Guys, girls, gays, queers, they, them, these, or anyone. Have a blessed rest of your Friday. And catch you guys on a beautiful Saturday.